Hello, welcome to yet another live stream. This is a open Q&A on everything Google Workspace. If you are new to the channel, my name is Pete Moriarty and we help business owners systemize, organize, and scale using Google Workspace and other technology tools. And so if you are a small or medium-sized business owner, if you are a manager or an IT operations person, maybe you're even a IT manager, CIO, CTO, help desk person, and you want to know more about Google Workspace, well, this is where you learn it. And if you're not subscribed, please hit subscribe to the channel. But I'm here to answer your questions. I've got a big, long list of questions here, and you can ask your own question at ask.itgenius.com. And I've just triggered my little button there, so that should be in the comments on the video. If you are watching the live, please make sure you say hello, drop me a message, and let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to spend as long as I can getting through as many questions as possible. And we've got quite a few today, actually. The team have loaded up nearly 20 questions. I don't know how many I'm going to get through, but fingers crossed, we'll see how we go. And of course, if you're on live, you get to ask your questions live, and I'll do my best to ask them live. So you can drop them in the comments on YouTube is the best place for that. And you can also head along to ask.itgenius, and I'll drop them, well, I'll try and answer them. If you drop them in, I will try and answer them from there. So I've got here, where's the most recent one? Okay, so security and compliance. So anything that comes in newer than that, I know someone has put that in for us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and rock and roll, and let's get into it. Now I'm going to sort by popular because people have been voting for popular questions, which I love. That's great. And let's go with Shannon's question first. How does adding a subdomain impact security, authentication, and domain-wide settings in Google Workspace? Well, that's a really interesting question. So if you have a Google Workspace account and you're interested in setting up a subdomain, or could be an add-on domain, or it could be an alias domain, those things are different, and I'll run through each of those in a moment. Security settings in the account don't necessarily change themselves, but there are some implications when you have multiple brands or multiple businesses running under one Google Workspace account. So in an account, you can add multiple domains. I think most people understand how that works. There's different types of domains that you can add though. An alias domain is the simplest one. That's if you have yourbusiness.com and you want to add an extra domain that works for all the email addresses. So I would add .com.au in my account, and then all of the Australian account email addresses will just auto forward to the .coms. Maybe I've got .asia or .us or .uk, whatever. That will all basically automatically forward. Now an add-on domain is different. An add-on domain, or previously called an add-on domain, I think it's called a secondary domain. I can't remember the terminology now. It's either secondary or add-on domain. But that lets you have different and distinct mailboxes with a different domain. And that different domain will let users sign in with a separate domain name. If you had completely different businesses under different domain names, you could theoretically have multiple domain names running under one Google Workspace account. But the reality is everything under there, all of those users are still effectively under one Workspace account. So they are treated like they're colleagues in the same account. If you go into your admin panel and you set settings like in Drive to automatically share any file that's created with anyone within the business or within the organization by default, then yes, across multiple different domain names, potentially across different businesses, if they're under one Workspace account, everyone's going to see everything. If you go to your calendar settings in the Workspace account and you set a setting that everyone within the business has the ability to have read-only access to each other's calendars, this is the default setting, or at least for a long time it was the default setting. Well, even if you're running multiple brands, multiple businesses, multiple teams, everyone's going to be able to access and see each other's calendars by default. So adding an additional domain doesn't necessarily change the security settings per se, but depending on what kind of business you're running, and if you have multiple brands across those different domains and therefore multiple teams from multiple businesses, well, then it's going to allow multiple people from different companies potentially to see the same information. Now, is that a risk? Well, if you own both companies yourself, no, it's probably not a material risk. But if you are a business owner and one of those companies has different business partners, Or maybe one of those companies deals with sensitive personal information, like financial information of your customers. Or maybe one of those customers has a particular audit requirement, or financial security requirement. Well, you may run into some problems there, because effectively you're going to have people from an external business, technically, if it's another entity, accessing files and information and data that your business is needing to keep private. Secondly, if you have another business partner in one of those entities, but not both, well, that business partner, shareholder, director, whoever, might get access to things that you don't want them to get access to, or might just see things that you don't want them to see. So you definitely want to be mindful of that. That's the potential downside. If you want to be a bit cleaner about how you do permissions inside of Google Workspace, you can put staff into organizational units. Now, you do that by, of course, going to your admin panel, admin.google.com, and inside the admin panel, you can create organizational units. This is probably a good opportunity to try out my new test account that I set up. I've always done things in production for so long, but our team is getting so big that I start to break things when I touch them, and I shouldn't do that when I'm with my team. So in our user menu here, I'm in my Google Workspace account. I go to directory and then users. You'll see on the left-hand side here, I've got different organizational units, these are called. And I can have different settings for different organizational units. So I can set different people into different groups. I don't know where everyone is, Team Genius maybe, there we go. And I can set different settings for different groups of staff here sitting in these. Now, do they stop everyone from seeing everyone else's work? No, not necessarily. I can set maybe more restrictive permissions for a certain group of staff. But if you've got multiple groups of staff with different domains, subdomains, add-on domains, all within one Google Workspace account, it's pretty easy for information to leak, because Google's treating everyone like they're part of the same company. So just be mindful of that. If you're thinking about secondary domains, the inherent security permissions don't change, but if you've got multiple companies running in one account, you kind of got to treat it like everyone can see everything together. Okay, great question though. Let's go have a look at another question. While I'm here, I'm going to open up my test Chrome profile, and hopefully that's going to help me demo things a little bit better. Let's see how we go, huh? Okay, so let's go to our next question, and maybe I can even bring that up in my test profile here. Wunderbar, excellent. Okay, so let me sign off. Oh, can I even mark that as viewed? No, I need to. All right, bear with me one moment, guys. Gonna have to log in here. So this is a little app that we use called Slido, which I love. It lets us run our live. Whoopsie, wrong account. Lets us run our live questions, and of course I'm going to have to now sign in with my actual account. And the thing I like about this app is we just leave it running, and people can ask questions anytime. Oh, did not like that. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, and it did work now. All right, oh, it's because I'm in the other browser. Okay, back to home page. Try again. Always love it when tech demos give me extra trouble. Is it really you? Yes, it is. All right, let's see if this works now. Please make sure you say hi if you're on the live. Oh, my Spanish is not that good. The format is incorrect. That's interesting. Righto. Oh, I see. It opened up the wrong. Why on earth would it do that? Okay. might just have to get my questions from the other tab. Oh wait, that's not the one. Oh, it went to the wrong login. I've got a feeling that was LastPass or something doing an autofill for me. Okay, we're in the right browser tab. Ah, no. Wow. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna have to go from here, but that's fine. All right. So next question, Anonymous asks, what are the limits of user recovery in Google Workspace and how can businesses prevent permanent data loss? If you want to delete a user and you're worried about what might happen if you accidentally delete a user account and then need to get it back, or if you've accidentally deleted something in Google Drive and you realize, oh crap, I need to get those files again, you can run into let me try those words again. You can run into a pickle pretty quickly. The reason for that is that Google only retains your data for a short period of time and then it is completely gone. Now, if you have files that are sitting in your Google Drive, somebody deletes those files, there is a trash bin. But Google made a change a year or so ago that those files are only retained for 30 days and then they're eventually deleted. And Google kind of let everyone know that that change was going to happen. That change was then implemented, but now they will not help you. If those files are gone, after 30 days, they've gone. Now, there are some mitigation steps that you can take for a Google Drive files deletion situation, and one of those is to use something like Google Vault. Google Vault is helpful if you have deleted files inside of Drive, but it's not really a backup. It's more designed for in the event of a legal issue, being able to easily get a copy of every file or every email or every chat message related to a particular topic or a particular user perhaps, and being able to access those and export those, usually for some kind of legal proceedings or some kind of audit type situation if you're financial services or you're dealing with the personal information of someone and something's gone wrong. If you want to use those to recover data, it is possible, but Google Vault is pretty clunky to bring data back. Imagine the scenario if you've had like a crypto locker virus go through your Google Drive and encrypt everything. There isn't a one button restore in Google Vault, which will let you bring all of the data back. So it's not really great as a backup solution, even though in an absolute emergency, you can get most of your data back from Vault because it's keeping a copy of absolutely everything and it's storing it inside the Vault. Now, other options would be third-party backup applications for Google Workspace, and they would of course cover Drive and cover all of your other apps as well. So one of the ones that we really love is Backupify. Also Spanning is another one, both owned by the same company now actually. AFI is a newer entrant in the race. I haven't personally tested that one myself, but that also comes recommended from a lot of people in our community. So you've got multiple backup options, which are really great for Google Workspace. And when I mention backup, many people ask me, hey Pete, why do I even need to bother with a backup for Workspace? You know, shouldn't Google just keep my data safe? And that's true. It's highly, highly, highly unlikely that Google would ever lose your data. What's more likely is malicious damage by a staff member. Okay, not super likely, but does happen from time to time. Or number two, accidental deletion. And that's what we're talking about with Google Drive. Someone thinks they're doing the right thing by cleaning up your Google Drive or cleaning up their Google Drive, and they delete some files, and then eventually they disappear from the trash after 30 days. And the challenge is you might not even know this has happened until after that 30 days has elapsed. Now, with anything deleted inside of Google Workspace, once it's gone, you can still reach out to support. And in some cases, we can get some things back. Now, personally, I haven't attempted to recover anything from Drive after the 30 days, because we always rely on our backups. But let's talk about user accounts, because there are some ways that we can get user accounts back from time to time. Now, if you have a user account and you want to delete that account, I've made multiple videos recently on offboarding staff properly and migrating their data into an archive account so you can actually save that user's data when it's time to offboard them. I'm not going to cover the technical process for that in this video. You can watch one of our other videos to get up to speed on that. But if you're in the worst case scenario where you have deleted an account and you want to get that data back and that account has now disappeared from your admin panel, well, you can contact either someone like us, IT Genius, and speak to one of our support reps. you can even purchase a quick fix on our website to quickly get access to that user account again by us going into the back end of your account and working with Google Support directly to recover that account. Now, if you don't want to pay for services and you want to have a go yourself, it's just as easy as reaching out to Google Support and let Google Support know you've deleted an account and you want to get that account back. Now, it's relatively straightforward for them to recover that account, and generally within 7 to 14 days of that user being deleted, it is possible to bring them back. I can't make any promises here because the terms of Google say once that account is deleted, it is deleted. Now, every now and again, if you have deleted an account, it doesn't actually get fully deleted from your admin panel. It will just go into a suspended state, and if for whatever reason one of the data migrations fails, then they'll just leave the account in your account but suspended. So it's still charging you for a license, but it hasn't completely deleted the account. Sometimes accounts do end up there, but for the most part, if you do delete an account, it will end up deleted. And if you want to get it back, you've got best case 7 to 14 days to work with Google Support to get it back from your account. Now, if you're stuck and you want help from our professional team, click the link down below. We'll be able to help you out with that. But if you want to get access to data that's been deleted, the best medicine for that is actually complete prevention. And that is making sure that you have, number one, good offboarding processes when you need to offboard anyone's data. And number two, good backup processes right across the board to make sure that even if something accidental happens from your hand or the hand of your staff, that you don't have that happening and losing data along the way. Great question. That's a very good one. How else can you, I think I've covered pretty much all how you can prevent data loss. I mean, I'll say, let me add in here, my poor editors are gonna have to splice this in. The golden rule for backup is 3-2-1. 3 different backups, 2 different mediums or 2 different types of data, 2 different locations. The fuck? Hold on. Oh, I know what it is now. 3 different backups on at least 2 different mediums or storage locations, at least one of those being offsite. So that means that you want to have different. Now, Google Vault, you could almost call a backup because it is another copy of your data, right? Hard to recover, but it's almost a backup. But I would still want to have another backup using a third-party backup service. Personally, I would want it out of Google's data centers. What if Google says, hey, you're spamming, so we're going to shut down your account? What if Google says, hey, we don't like that I don't know, photo that one of your staff members uploaded to their Google Photos, therefore we're killing your whole account? That puts you in real trouble. And it might not be just getting access to your account, because you might get access to your account again in a week or in 2 weeks, but if you've got 20 staff, what are they going to do for the next week? Twiddle their thumbs while they wait for your account to be recovered, and they wait for us to plead with Google Support over the phone? You don't want to ever risk that. So recoverability is really important to get back into your data so you can minimize the business impact and the business and any potential business loss in the event that there is a disaster. One, offsite backup means that you don't want to ever be caught in having just one location for your data. I don't care if it's sitting in a fireproof safe. Personally, I would want to have it in a different physical location, and that's the reason the 3-2-1 rule exists. Okay, I'll let my team splice that in somewhere when that goes up on the channel. Okay, so someone has asked, where can we find the sent limits from? Oops, I'm going to undo. I've got a funny feeling I just closed one that I needed. Oh no, I've got that. Okay, great. Where can we find the sent items from the group? I forwarded an email and I can't see where the sent items are. That's interesting. So I'm assuming this person is talking about emails sent to a group email address. And this is going to be really hard for me to show in production. So maybe I'll set up a group in my, let's go and do that in my test account here. So to access groups, you go to groups.google.com with your business domain. And I don't know if you can create a business email account from here. You may need to do that from the admin console using directory and then groups. But hey, just for the fun of it, let's see if we can create a group from here. Test sending email, right? So, okay, it's given me a group email address here, and I'm going to use my testgenius.co email address. Here is a test group, and let's see what happens. Oh wow, there we go. So it's actually giving me the settings here, which appear to be mapped to the settings in the admin panel. I'm going to go and check after I've created this. Who can search for the group? Yep, I'll just leave that to organization. I don't want that to be on the web. Who can join the group? Anyone in the organization can ask. That's probably the best one there. Who can view conversations? Probably only group members. Who can post? Well, if I want to allow this to be accessible to people to send me emails from the web, so send me emails from public, I'll say, all right, anyone in the web can post. And who can view the members? I generally leave that one as entire organization, just so everyone in the company can see. If this group is invited to a calendar event together, I want people to be able to expand that list of users and see who's actually in the group. That makes things easy. Okay, group members. All right, so I've got myself, and then I don't know. Let's add George. No, I'm not. I'm not going to add anyone else because that just annoys my team. They get confused with me sending them random messages. Okay, subscription each email. Okay, so this is if you're a member of the group. Let's say it's I've got a group, feedback at itgenius.com, right? So if a customer's having a really bad time and they've tried escalating things internally with our team, they can email that feedback account, and it goes to our head of growth, it goes to our CEO, and it goes to me. So I want to see every single email, so I set my settings to each email there, but you can also get digests and those more summarized versions of the emails coming into this mailbox. Directly add members. I don't know what that button does. I've never created a group from the group service here. I always do it from the admin panel. Okay, test sending email. Okay, and we can go to our group here. Okay, cool. So I have a group. So what we want to do in a group is first up we're going to send an email to the group, right? So I'll send an internal email here. Let's send it to the group, and I'll call that test 1, right? So that'll be my first email going to the group. And then it wouldn't hurt for me to send an email from my external email address as well. So test 2, and let me send an email from here. Wonderful. Okay, so we should have in our group some emails coming in. Now they're called conversations when you're in this group mode here. I'll wait for those to come through. They shouldn't take too long, but while we're waiting, let's go into the admin console and we'll just check our permissions settings on these groups. So, oh geez, there's going to be a lot called test here. Test sending email. There we go. Okay, wonderful. So we'll go check out our settings. Direct members. I don't know what that means when it says direct members. I'm very curious about that. Direct and indirect members. Download transitive members? What is a transitive member? I don't know, guys. Okay, so we have group information here. Group email, and what I really want actually is the permissions. Here we go, access type. Okay, great. So it's pretty much mimicked the permissions that I usually like to set. So usually what I will do is I'll come in here, I'll click restricted. I'll add the entire organization can view members. And if I don't want anyone outside the company to email, I'll remove the ability for external to reach out to any group owners. In this case, we are sharing this one with the world. So we want to make sure that external can post. It means that people can go ahead and post. You can see here it's respected my settings. Anyone in the organization can ask to join, and it didn't give us the option, but if you want to let people outside your company join, you got to tick this box here, allow members outside your organization to join the group. It means that anyone with a Gmail account can actually join into your group. Okay, cool. So I'm going to give this a good old refresh. So you can see here posting is open to external, but pretty much everything else is locked down, and we've let the whole business view members. They're my standard group settings for a security group, but security groups double as a distribution list, meaning anyone can send an email if you so allow. Okay, so let's do a refresh here. All right, wonderful. So both of our tests have come through. So we've got test 1 here. We've got the test, and then we've got test 2 here, and we've got the test. So any group that you are a part of should show up here in my groups. If you've got email enabled for that group and you're able to send email to it, which I don't think you can turn off unless you change the permissions so that group owners can't even email to the group. Pretty much any group that you've got inside Workspace, you're going to see in the groups service. So groups.google.com is where you're going to find all of these. Now, if I go to my production domain, groups.google.com, you'll see all the groups that I'm a part of here. So, the Attract team, board, IT admins, Uplevel, it's our corporate social responsibility initiative. So we've got all these groups that I'm available for here, and I can click into any of these and start seeing messages, probably mostly calendar invites, to be honest. That's what we use most of these for. But here I've got my sending email group. So I've received my 2 emails. That makes sense. Now, how will I see emails sent from the group? That's what I assume this person is asking about here. Where can I find the sent items from a group? So we need to send something from the group. Now, there's multiple ways we can send to the group. So we can go reply all from the group service here and say, here is a reply, right? It's pretty straightforward. And this is going to show up in a conversation style or forum style message thread. So it looks a little bit like what your Gmail inbox looks like, in that you have your first message that's come in this case from it's actually from myself, and then the group has sent another message, but it's been sent by me, so it's actually sending from my email address as well. Now, when I hit reply all, there's a few different options of how I can send messages. I can also, if I wish, choose to send from the group email address. Check that out. So I can say test sending email, and I can say here is a reply from the group email. Cool. So I can post message. It's a bit weird, but anyway, that's now sent it from the group email. So this is where you see where emails are sent. You just see them as conversations. You open the conversation. Here's the one. You open the conversation, and why is it not showing me the whole thing? Oh, it's showing me this weird 2 new messages down the bottom. It's a bit odd. It hid them. Anyway, we've got the original message, and then we've got my first reply, which was me, and then we've got a reply from the group email. That's effectively where you see the sent email. If we were to reply to, let's go to test number 2, right? The second one that came through from my business email, and let's say I reply from the group email. Here is a reply, right? I can also send a reply there. Now, when I send a reply here from the group email, it's going to show up in the email of the person who sent it. Here we go. Great. So my first email was sent, and then the reply came back to me. It came from test sending email. Now it's putting that reply in the group, but it's coming from the group email account. There we go. So if I want to see where all the sent email is, I just need to go into each one of these conversations and see what was sent from the group email. I hope that answers the question for this person, because all of the emails related to anything to do with this group basically all show up in this one place. So you've got all of them in the one spot, and that is what gives you access. So there we go. I don't think there's anything else interesting to share about groups right now, except for maybe if you want all emails to go out from the central email address, I think there's a button that lets you do that. Maybe it's post replies. Here we go. Oh no, that's who you want to post it to. I've got a feeling we might need to switch on collaborative inbox. Maybe that's the one. And shared labels. It's another cool one. You can start labeling emails. Trying to find, because I'm pretty sure you can set the default Here we go. Okay, so now I've switched that on. Default sender, group address. So if you want, when someone goes and looks at a conversation, here's number 2. Got it, sent a reply. I can also do another reply all. Look at that. It's coming by default from the group email address. Now, what that's useful for is if you want to use this as like a pseudo ticketing system. If you've got a small business and you want to have a central mailbox that multiple people can access and multiple people can reply to your customers in, but you don't want to have a copy going round to everybody's inboxes. So in this case, you might have like help@yourcompany.com or orders@yourcompany.com or sales@yourcompany.com. And you want that one mailbox where multiple people can see the emails that are in there, reply to the emails, but then of course see if somebody else has already replied. If you use a distribution group, a group email, and you just have everybody receiving a copy of the email in their inbox, well, it doesn't really help you to see who's replied to the customer. You don't know if someone's already replied to the customer or not. And if you're not using a label system, then you don't even know if someone has assigned it to themselves as this is my responsibility, I'm going to take care of it. Now in this group, now that I've actually switched on these cool features, when I open an email, and hopefully it's already applied, here we go, you can see here I've got the option to assign it to myself. And so now that I've assigned this email to myself, my colleagues know, okay, Pete's got this one. I don't have to reply because Pete is going to reply to this one. And if I go back to my conversations, you can see it's been assigned to me. So it's pretty rudimentary as a ticketing system. It is not particularly sophisticated. But if you're a small team, if you're less than 5 people and you just need like a simple shared mailbox that multiple people can access, set up Google Group, switch on the collaborative mailbox mode in settings, and this will get you a pretty decent basic customer service system that multiple people can use and collaborate on and make everyone's life a little bit easier. Love the feature. All right, cool. Violetta, welcome to the channel. I'm new to Google Workspace. If you're working with working with collaborators, what are the best practices to set up this onboarding for one collaborator, like a workflow in Google Workspace? I'm not sure I quite understand that question. But I'll give you some tips. I'll give you some tips on onboarding and setting up new team members. Some of the things that I take care of. So, let's say you've got a new staff member and they've just started in your business, and I'm going to imagine you're a small business, somewhere between 3 and 30 employees. There's an internal checklist that we go through for onboarding when we bring somebody on. Now, obviously, the first thing you want to do is you want to set up a user account for them. So you open up the admin account, admin.google.com. and you assign an email address to them under your business domain. And this is the key feature of using Google Workspace over Gmail. If you're just on Gmail and everyone has their own Gmail accounts, you have no control of somebody else's account, meaning you can't give them an email address with your branded domain name unless you're forwarding your emails from your web host, and that gets a little bit messy. But you also can't switch them off when they leave the business, and that is definitely a risk that you don't want to take. So you first create a user account for them. They'll set their own password. They will put their profile picture and that kind of thing on the account. If they need to do any administration in your Google Workspace account, so if you're a larger business and this person is a manager and you want them to be able to help other people reset their passwords if they forget, you might want to add some administrator privileges to that person. So you do that in the user menu, you add the administrator privileges, and you choose different roles that you might want this person to help with. So in the case of you want them to help reset people's passwords, there's a help desk admin role, and that allows people to help do that. If you want someone to administer the groups for your business, you can have a groups admin role. So you can give them the groups admin, and then they'll be able to work on that. Okay, cool. So you've created the user. Next, ideally, you want to use groups for permissions. So ideally, you want to have different groups set up for different areas of your business. The groups that we recommend having set up is one for executives or owners in the business, one for managers or maybe just for people who deal with the finances of the business, one for everyone in the company. So if you need to share something with everyone in one hit, you don't have to remember and manually type in everyone's names. You just use that all team group. And then a fourth group for contractors, people who are outside the business who maybe you want to share certain resources, maybe just read-only resources. The contractors group is great for that. So you want to add the person to the correct group, and then hopefully you're using groups in many places in Google Workspace. You can use groups in chat rooms. So only people who are members of a group can access the right chat room. If you set it up in Drive for your shared drives, in your particular shared drive, you share that with a particular group of people, and the people automatically get access to all those shared drives once you add them to the group. Thirdly, if you set a calendar event and invite a group to that calendar event, something cool happens when you have a recurring event, like maybe a weekly sales meeting or a monthly all hands. Well, the group that you invite, each time a new user is added to that group, they'll automatically get an invitation to every invitation and every calendar event that that group has been invited to in the past, retroactively. So if you have future events coming up where that group has been invited, that person will automatically get an invite as well. Now, that's great if you onboard someone and you want them to have access to the weekly meetings, the sales meeting, the monthly all hands with everybody, the quarterly strategy session, whatever you're doing. All of that stuff automatically gets sent out to that person. And it means that you don't have to scratch your head and remember, oh, what resources should I share with this new employee? It all just happens automatically. So secondly, that's groups. Now, what other onboarding do you need with a new team member? I would probably make sure they're in some of the chat rooms, because they might not know where to go to look for them. So I'll usually mention their name in a chat room, and that will prompt me, hey, do you want to add this person to the room manually? Now, they won't be able to join if they're not a part of the right group. If you're the super admin, it kind of adds them, but ideally you want to just stick to the groups. But I'll usually at least add them to one group manually, and then I can chat with them and help them understand, like, here's where Google Chat is, and help them get onboarded. The other thing is making sure that they can see all of the correct Google Drives. So all of the right shared drives have appeared for them. If you add them to the right groups, they should appear automatically, pretty much instantly, but you want to make sure that someone can see all the right shared drives. And then, what else will we do when we're onboarding a new team member? Maybe help them set up their signature in Gmail. That's probably another good one. So if you've got like a company signature, or you've got a standardized signature type setup, then you want to make sure that they've got their signature set up. That's my very, very basic getting someone onboarded with Workspace guide. I hope that's helpful. Thank you for the question. Okie dokie. Let's move on to our next one. Okay. I'm going to go back to another screen here. Okay. So, Anonymous asks, what do you do if you have multiple calendars and multiple businesses, but none of the businesses are making the big bucks yet? Great. Okay. I think I'm going to draw this one. Let's open my Canva and see if this works. Fingers crossed it does, because sometimes my Canva does not work. It did not work last time I tried. Waiting. If you are on the live, please jump in and say hello. Okay. Oh, it's sending me. All right, I'm going to have to do a code. Thank you, Canva. If you're on the live, make sure you say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. If you've got a live question you want me to answer, I'll very happily answer that question for you. Where is my... Here we go. Okay. Can't share my screen right now for obvious reasons, but I'm going to be in there in 1 second. For some reason, my iPad has decided to be very, very slow today. We are taking our time here. All right, so I'm going to make a new whiteboard. I want to make sure that you guys can see. All right. And I better put, let's just call this live. What's today's date? Okay. Wow, my Canva is still loading. Canva is very, very, very sick on my iPad. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, let's try one more time. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi thing. If you've got any other quick questions you want to throw me while I get my Canvas sorted, then go ahead and drop them out. While I'm waiting, I am very curious if my Facebook stream is working, because I know YouTube is working, but I don't know about this one. No, it didn't seem like it did. Okay. All right. So let me open up. Where is my... Where are my files? I see. I think I've maybe, have I signed in with the wrong account? All right, let's quickly share this with IT Genius. Okay. So I've shared it with my colleagues at IT Genius. And let's see if I can find it. I've got to say, I don't know if this is just my internet connection, but I think Canva might have some work to do on the iPad app here. It's a very cool app, but it seems to be running very slow. Come on, Canva, you've got it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Okay, and I still do not have the file. Well, play amongst yourselves, kids, while I load it. Okay, I'm going to try create design. Whiteboard. Okay, I'm going to actually have to sign in as... You know, the weird thing is I used to be able to switch users here pretty easily, but it doesn't seem to be a user switching menu anymore. Ah, here we go. Okay. So let's go to IT Genius. I think I've actually got to log in as IT Genius. Okay, I found it. Gonna need another code. Fun times. Fun times. Okay. All right. That was more effort. That was more effort than it needed to be. Okay. So here we are with my beautiful Canva design. Oh no, go back. All right, here we are with my beautiful Canva design. And I'm going to draw out what it looks like if you've got multiple Google Workspace accounts and you've got multiple calendars. Now, the easiest way to think about this is we set up... Is it going to let me draw? Okay. Account number 1. So maybe that's like Peter at itgenius.com, right? And then I'm going to set up account number 2, which might be Peter at Moriarty.co, right? And let's say you're really ambitious and you've also got a Gmail account, right? Account number 3, Peter at gmail.com. So you're going to end up in a situation where you've got 3 different accounts here. And let's imagine for now that these are distinct and different Google Workspace accounts. So 1, 2, 3, completely different Google Workspace accounts, right? So I would probably put a box around each one of these to designate these as separate accounts. Now, you're going to have an email address for each one of these users, and confusingly, each one of those is going to say Peter Moriarty, right? Now, you may, if you're lucky, Google might have naturally assigned, different colors for you, right? But you're basically going to end up with these little squares in your account. But basically, all 3 calendars are going to be called Peter Moriarty, which is not the most helpful. And the easiest way to manage your calendars, honestly, is to have these calendars all shared to one account. If you wanted to, and I'll go and open up my calendar here, or use my production calendar for this one. Where are we? Here we go. Cool. So if you want to, you can have multiple colors color-coded on a single calendar, but to me that gets a little bit confusing. But if you've genuinely got a reason to have different calendars, and for me, I want to send some calendar invites from calendar A and some calendar invites from calendar B, well, then you can actually do that by using multiple calendars shared with each other. So you'll notice here, my primary account, peter@itgenius.com, right? That's my main business account, and I use that for most of my work. But I also have a secondary account, which is investments. I've got a venture studio. I've got other businesses that I'm involved in. I've got other businesses that I'm director of. I've got other businesses I invest in and do business with, which has nothing to do with IT Genius. And if I were to email people from IT Genius, they'd be like, this is a bit weird, because some of them are in completely unrelated industries to IT. So for that reason, I set up a second Google Workspace account. Now, the other cool thing about this secondary Google Workspace account is I use that for all of my family and personal data storage. Now, I've talked about that on the channel before. I've made multiple videos on this. If you want to set up a secondary Google Workspace account for your personal use, there are some downsides. You miss out on a lot of the home automation and Google Assistant features. You can't use Google Nest. You can't share any purchases you've made with Google Play with other family members. You can't use the Google One for storage because it's obviously a business account, so you can't use any of those consumer features. And there's a number of other things that are just weird and quirky about it. If you want to try and use it for home automation, it does work with Google Home. You can see I've got a speaker sitting behind me there. But it can be a bit of a pain in the butt because there's extra hoops that you need to jump through to get it to work. But it is workable. And the upside of using a workspace account for your personal data is it's a bit better for recoverability if anything ever goes wrong. If you put all of your family photos, all of your home videos in a Gmail account, yeah, sure, you can get access to cheap storage with a Google One plan, and that's a pretty reasonable service. But the downside is if anything ever goes wrong with that Gmail account, it's very difficult to get support. If someone hacks into it and steals it, not much chance you're going to get that back. And that can be absolutely devastating if all of your family memories are there. Now, should you back that up? Yes, it's a good idea to back that up. And there's third-party backup tools available, of which we can supply to you at IT Genius. If you're interested, click the link down below. But my personal recommendation is I would rather have the plan B option of getting back into my account using my domain name, which you can do with any business account. And then I don't have to lose sleep over the fact that if something happens, I'm not going to lose access to all of my personal stuff. Now, that's one scenario. Another scenario here might be that you have multiple businesses and you just want to be able to send emails from multiple different businesses. It might not be your surname.co, it might be business number 2.co. And one of your businesses is pet food and the other business is an accounting firm, and you don't want to set your accounting clients emails or calendar invitations from petespetfood.com, right? So in those cases, and yes, including the case that you actually do end up using a Gmail account, I do have a Gmail account which I use from time to time, but that also exists there in the puzzle. We want to make this simple and we want to put them all into one place. So here's what you do. You take your one main account, and this is the account that you'd be logged into most of the time. For me, in this case, it happens to be my IT Genius account, and I call this my master account, right? Because this is the one I'm using most of the time. And I go to my secondary accounts and I share the calendar from the secondary accounts to my master account. So what that means is I'm going to end up with my second calendar here and my third calendar here. Now, very importantly, when I go to share those calendars, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate here, I go to my sharing settings and I share access, you'll see here, to be able to make changes to events. So you've got different levels of access to here, but I'll make sure that the additional account has the ability to make changes to events. Now, I'm demonstrating from my master account here, but you get the idea. You log into the secondary account and you share it back to the master account. And here's what it looks like when we're done. So inside my Google Calendar, on the left-hand side, you'll see my primary calendar is in blue, and all of these nice dark blue events are my primary calendar. They go a different color when they're in the past, which is why they look a bit different here. I'll go to the future just to make it simple. Now, if I want to add an event to my secondary account, now unfortunately it's still called Peter Moriarty. That makes it a little bit difficult, right? But I know that it is a different color. You'll see here that it's green, so that makes it obvious that it's a different calendar. The all-day events here are different, and you can see here it also has meetings on my calendar, which are a different color. Now, if I were to create an event on that calendar, you'll also notice I put a little emoji in the name to give me just that little bit of difference in the name here. I could even rename it, and no one's going to know that that's different, right? I could call that Peter, external if I want, or I could call it Peter's pet food, whatever I want. No one's going to see what this name is unless I share the calendar with them. But I like to have it as my name, right? Okay, cool. So if I go ahead and create a new event, each time I go to create a new event, I've got the option to choose which calendar do I want to create that event on. So I can choose my main calendar here, or I can choose my secondary calendar, the M, right? So that stands for Moriarty.co, which is the venture business. And then from there, I've even got a personal calendar. It's got another little icon. Yet again, it's still Peter Moriarty, but this is effectively my personal calendar. And this again has a different one. So like if I want to go to the gym, I'll usually put that on my personal calendar there. There we go. So we have 3 calendars here that I have access to. Now, these could all be under one account and I could just create multiple calendars if I wanted to. But if I want to send calendar invitations from a secondary domain, well, this is how I do that. So when I create an event, even if I'm logged in as IT Genius, as my master primary account, and I create an event on that secondary calendar, the invitation goes out from the secondary calendar, because what it's doing is it's accessing a completely different workspace account number 2, and it's sending the email from that account. Pretty clever, huh? So that's my 3 calendar system. If you've got multiple businesses, it is a bit expensive to do it this way because, of course, you need to pay for a account, and account. So that's 3 accounts that you're paying for this system to work. We call them buckets of email. Each mailbox where email is being delivered to is a bucket of email. But as long as you don't mind paying for all 3 of these, you share them from the secondary accounts back to the first account, and then you're good to go. Now, those with a keen eye may have noticed something interesting inside my calendar in the sharing settings. When I went to share this calendar, have a look. It didn't let me share and allow someone else to make changes and manage sharing. That one's grayed out. I wonder why that might be grayed out, Pete. Well, there's a policy for that. So if you go to the admin panel, inside your Google admin panel, you've got the option to add a policy for what is the maximum level that your staff can share their calendars at. And you're gonna have to go and do this for account number 2 and account number 3, because remember, they're the ones that are sharing, and they're sharing back to the master. So calendar 2, calendar 3, we've got here sharing settings. Now you're gonna have to find the one that says, I think it's here in sharing settings. I'm gonna open up all my sharing settings. Okay, here we go. External sharing options for primary calendars. So here we go. This lets you set the maximum that someone is available to share. Now, I'm on an organizational unit. That's not mine. So let me go and find my organizational unit, which is executive. Here we go. So the maximum that can be shared is share all information, and outsiders can change calendars, but I'm not allowing any of the users in this organizational unit to share all information and allow managing of calendars. So if you're interested in this sharing, this is where you need to go in the admin panel to make sure the sharing settings are correct. This is a good idea to lock this down. The reason that we lock this down and we don't allow our team to share their calendars and manage sharing outside the company is someone could easily compromise an external account outside of our business that we don't have access to. Maybe someone shares their work calendar to their Gmail, which is totally fine. Or maybe they share it to their spouse, totally fine. But what we don't want is their spouse to be able to, I'm not saying they would do it, I'm saying a compromised actor in their account might do it, grab access and start adding people willy-nilly, because our customer data is probably going to be in our calendar. Names of our customers, emails of our customers, years and years and years, hundreds or thousands of meetings with customers. We don't want that information getting to anybody outside our business. So we want to be really careful with that. Okay, so that's how you do your shared calendar setup for your business. If you like this one, drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. All right, great question. Really good questions today. I know why they're good questions, because our edit team triaged some of them. So thank you, Clarissa, our legend producer who has been working on these in the background. Okay, cool. So I better write the date here. What date is it? 25/03/06. And Clarissa, maybe my drawing is good enough for you to publish it this time. The team usually reanimate my drawings. My drawings aren't good enough for them. Even though I'm Steiner educated, they don't make the cut. All right, so live CQA. Okay, cool. We've got that one a name. All right, and we've got a live one from Walnuts of Pleasure. That's such a funny name. Welcome. I'll have to work with Google Workspace in a week, which is new to me. I'm wondering if there's any way to import organizational units from Active Directory into Workspace. Great question. So you may or may not be able to import organizational units, but you can certainly synchronize them. And there's a few different ways of doing that. There was an old tool which used to be called GADS, G-A-D-S, Google Active Directory Sync. But I've got a feeling that's been replaced by something else. I think they've given it a different name. And I know they've got an entirely new way of synchronizing. Here we go. Google Cloud Directory Sync. So this is what you're looking for now. GCDS is the new acronym for this one. And this allows you to connect, there we go, yeah, pulling from an LDAP server, or Active Directory. So you can connect that straight up to Active Directory. And when I was in the admin panel recently, I actually saw a new prompt Here we go for directory sync. And this appears to let you add an Azure directory directly here. I assume you just go through the wizard and you do that. Personally, I've not done this in a long time, but I do know that our team are experts in this. And so for customers who have hybrid environments, Microsoft and Google, maybe some Macs in the mix as well. If you want some help from our team connecting all of those and making them talk to each other, our team can very easily do that for you because we've got engineers who do this day in, day out. They happen to specialize in mixed and multi environments. So if you're interested in that, our services are very reasonable. Depending on where you are in the world, that is an advanced technical team and they're based in Australia, so it can be a little more difficult, let's say if you're on the East Coast of the US or if you're in Europe. But if you're interested in working with us, you can do a free consult. Click on the link down below this video and book in with our team and they'll be able to help out. Yeah, if you've got a setup that you need to go through, that is the tool that you need to synchronize your directories. You can do some really advanced stuff like synchronizing password changes. You can make Google the master or Microsoft the master and push in either direction that you want. Or if you just want to do some single sign-on stuff, there's plenty of open standard protocol single sign-on as well built right into Workspace. Not stuff that I've touched in a long time, but I know that it's all there. And of course, our team are really great with that. We've got some amazing engineers who I haven't done sysadmin work in a long time, but they do a great job. Trust me, they do a great job there. Okay. Thanks for the question, by the way. Thanks for saying hi on the live. If you've got additional questions, you can drop them into ask.itgenius.com and I'll make sure that I answer them. They're coming up in the queue, and I'm going to probably go and do my next question now. Okay, so here we go, another live question. Thanks for that. Main things to consider setting up a workspace for working with contractors. So short-term contracts like 2 to 6 months, they're people external and they might have their own workspace or email domains. Okay, great question. Let's cover that. If you're interested in bringing contractors into your business in Google Workspace, there's a couple of key considerations that you might want to make sure that your business data is secured and you don't have contractors stumbling across stuff that you don't want them to have access to. Now, I'm going to show you a few things that you can do in the admin panel and some of the best practices with sharing that I recommend for your contractors, and that'll keep your data safe and your contractors happy. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to jump into the admin panel. We're going to head along to admin.google.com, and in our admin panel, we're going to create a group for our contractors. Now, let me actually do that in my test. Admin panel is going to be better. So to access the right place, we're going to go to our directory and then groups, and we're going to add a new group. Now, I usually just call this group Contractors. And then if you've got multiple domains, obviously you want to choose the appropriate domain for that group. Description doesn't really matter. Owner, probably going to be yourself if you're the business owner. And then you might want to tick the security button here. Not mandatory, but it can make things easier as you get more sophisticated with your permissions in the future. Okay, so I'll click the next button, and then I can start to choose who I want to add as group. Oh no, this is not group members yet. This is group permissions. First up, we're going to do our group permissions. So my standard setup for groups is to click the restricted button, which changes some of these settings. And then I generally choose for people to be able to view members across the organization. That's just in case I add somebody who is, maybe adding people to calendar events, and they want to make sure that if I invite this group to a calendar event, then all of the group members can be seen by other people within the business. So I let the entire organization see who is in the group. That is useful, right? Cool. Now, next up, you've got the question of whether or not you give external access to this group, right? So you've got contact group owners. I mean, generally you don't really ever need that. But you may choose who can post. If you want someone to be able to email contractors@yourcompany.com and have that email go out to everyone who's a member, well, you might choose for people inside the business or even outside your company to be able to email this email address. Now that makes it act like what's called a distribution group or like a group email address. If you want people to be able to email contractors@yourcompany.com and have it go to all the members, you would tick this box. Generally, that's probably going to be a no, because you would only have people inside the business emailing that group. And if you just want it to be you could have just group managers or just group members be able to, it's called post, but it basically means who can use that email address. Remember, we're using this for permissions though. That's some email stuff, but mainly we're going to be using this just for permissions. So this is typically my recommendation. You hit restricted, remove external there, and then add view members permission to everyone, and that keeps it reasonably locked down. So who can join the group? I will change that to only invited users. And importantly, we want to tick the box here to allow members outside your organization. Now, what that allows is people to be added to the group if they're outside your Google Workspace domain. So we use itgenius.com, and anyone outside that domain is going to need to have this box ticked before they can be invited. So if they have a Gmail account, or if they have a Google Workspace account, on the next screen when we add our members, we'll be able to add these external people. If they don't have a Gmail or a Workspace account, and that's very rare, most people do have them, they'll have to go and sign up for one. Unfortunately, you can't use a standard email address. It's got to be a Workspace account or a Gmail account. I'll hit next. And then, member restriction. What on earth is this? I've never seen this before. Oh, very interesting. You can create restrictions. This is the first time I've ever seen that one. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this test account is an enterprise account. Okay, ignore that one. That's not really that important for now. Okay, so we've created the group. Now we want to add some members. I'm going to click add members. Oh my God. Oh, come on, Google. Come on, Google. Hello on the live stream. All right. Every now and again, the groups take a while to get added. What the hell just happened? That is bizarre. Sometimes when you create a group, it can take a moment before it actually shows up. It shouldn't ever bug out like mine just did. Okay, so let's open the group. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Okay, excuse the French. All right, let's try it again. I don't know what just happened there, but something real weird's going on here. Fuck it, I'll do it in my production domain. Okay, so let's go to groups. And we're gonna have to do it from the top. Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with that test account today. It's gone real weird. Okie dokie. So we're going to create our group. My producers will be happy because they'll get the B-roll that they want now. Okay, group owner. I set myself as the group owner. I tick the security box. I click restricted. I remove that. I add that. Only invited users. Allow members outside the organization. Yeah, that must have been an enterprise feature and something was real buggy about it. You're kidding. What is going on? Okay. That looks like a bug, ladies and gentlemen. That looks like a bug. We found a bug. Shit. Okay, well, I feel sorry for my team because they're going to have to recreate this B-roll later, but let's continue. So, once we've created a group, we can use this group in many useful places across our Google Workspace account. If we want to invite the group to a calendar event, everyone in the group will get an invitation to that calendar event. If we want to add that group to a chat room, everyone in the group will have the ability to join the chat room. They don't necessarily get an invitation and if they join after it's already been invited, but they have the ability to join. You can send the URL of the chat room and they have permission to join. Number 3, when you add the group to a shared drive, anyone who is a member of the group will get access to the shared drive. And I really love this feature because even if they have a Gmail account or a Google Workspace account and they don't know where to go to access a drive, if you add them to the group and you invite that group to the drive, it's just automatically going to show up in their Google Drive, which is really groovy. So let's go to our Google Drive and we'll go to our shared drives and we'll create a new shared drive for our contractors. So I'll call this Contractors. Oh, whoops, I wasn't sharing my screen. Shared drive, new shared drive, call it Contractors. Manage members, and here's where we're going to invite the group. Now, here is something really, really important. You want to be very careful with what permission you give the contractors group. Some businesses may only want to give them viewer access. Some businesses might want to give view and comment. The maximum access that I would ever give contractors is the contributor role. That is the ability to add, edit, and yes, share files as well, but not delete files. Very, very important. Effectively, that means that you are the master of the Dropbox, of the company drive. Other people can put stuff in, but they can't delete it or take it out. Now, the great thing about this is if you've ever shared a folder just in your My Drive, and you've shared it with a contractor who's using a Gmail account outside your business, if they put files into that folder, you own the folder, but they own the files. And that's a big no-no. So shared drive solves that problem by allowing anyone who puts files in to automatically be forced to transfer the ownership of those files to the company. So someone puts a folder in or a file in, all of a sudden, you are the new owner of that file, or your company is the new owner of that file. And that's why we don't let them delete things. We let anyone put something in, but not delete it or take it out. Now, here's what it looks like if you, better save my settings. So here's what it looks like if someone's got a file in their My Drive that they've created for your business and they want to move it into the shared drive. They can drag and drop it if they want, or they can use the move menu here, shared drives. Let's find my contractors drive, move. And this is what will pop up and prompt them. Everyone who sees test contractors will gain access. Do you want to change the ownership? So that's how files become owned by the company when they're moved into the shared drive. Now back to our shared drive. Let's have a look at some of the permissions and settings that we can use in this shared drive. You might, that contractors drive didn't even save. Look at that bug. That's real buggy. I think Google must be contributor. It seems to have stuck now. Okay, that's pretty funny. Okay, cool. So the next thing you want to do is you want to go to your shared drive settings. Now that's different to the membership. The membership is here. Settings, you can access it up here, or you click on the shared drive and go to shared drive settings. Gives you advanced settings for this shared drive. And these are very important for when you're setting up contractors. So yes, allow people outside your company to access files. Allow people who aren't shared drive members to access files. Well, this is an interesting one. You might choose that only specific contractors that you have named in the group can ever access files within this shared drive. You would untick that box, and it means that only people who are named there. Or if maybe you're a builder and you're sharing a plan or a design with an electrical contractor and they've got an apprentice that works for them that needs to actually do the installation, okay, cool. In that case, we'll tick the box and we'll let them share it with people as well on an as-needed basis. But that's how you lock things down if you really want to lock it down so only a specific human or group of humans can access it. Role permissions, allow content managers to share folders, that's fine. Content managers are only going to be internal in your business because we're not giving that permission to anyone outside. This is another really cool one. Allow viewers and commenters to download, print, and copy files. If you untick this box, any of the files that you put into this shared drive cannot be downloaded, printed, or copied. And that's really cool if you're worried about a contractor stealing your intellectual property, making copies, or if it's highly sensitive data and you just want it really well protected. You don't want anyone to be able to make copies. Now, Can someone set a screenshot? Yes, of course. They can always save pictures and documents page by page. But if you've got 1,000 documents in there, they're probably not going to bother if they have to do it manually, and it just makes their job harder. It's very easy, and think about someone who wants to steal your information. They're probably not all that smart, right? It's very easy for someone to chuck in a USB stick, download absolutely everything from your Google Drive, and then go to a print shop and get it printed. It's really hard for them to screenshot every page of 1,000 documents. So I really like this one if you want to lock it right down to contractors that you're just providing information, but you're not really doing much collaboration with. So there we go. They're the different options inside your shared drive. You add the contractors group to the shared drive, and then you're able to access that for everyone. Same when you go to your calendar events. If you create an event and on that event you invite the contractors, anyone who's part of the contractors group, in this case it's just one person, they will get access to the event that you have shared. And the thing that I love about this, when you invite a group to a calendar event, and if it's a repeating event that happens, like, I don't know, maybe you have a contractors meeting once a week or something like that, if you add a new contractor next week, they get the invitation to the recurring event. Now, this doesn't happen right across the board, doesn't happen in chat. Unfortunately, they don't get emailed an invite if you add them to the group later. But if you add them to the group, they'll get the shared drive immediately when they get onboarded, and they'll get the calendar invites immediately when they get onboarded, even if you set up the calendar in the past. Love it. Great. Okay, cool. So that's the calendar setup. And there was one more question that I wanted to handle, which was, how do I allow contractors sending emails and creating calendar invites on the company behalf with a company email address? Great question. If you have a contractor that you think needs just that little bit more, you want them to represent the business, you want them to be able to send calendar events, send emails on behalf of the business, access certain resources, but not everything, the best thing to do is probably to issue them an email address for your business. Now, yes, you've got to pay for a license, bit of a pain, but that's the best way to properly protect your data. And there's a few things that you can do to kind of lock things down just a little bit for those contractors. So how I would approach that is in the admin panel, I would set up an organizational unit just for contractors. And so if you go into the user menu here, you go to your organizational units, and you, there we go, down the bottom. I haven't done this in a while. You click Manage Organizational Units, and you create a new organizational unit. I'm creating a unit called Contractors here. And then with any of my external contractors that are a part of the business, I go to the user menu, I select the contractors, and I move them into the appropriate organizational unit. Now, by default, that organizational unit is going to have the same set of features, the same settings for everyone else in Google Workspace. But if I want to, for example, lock down their access to certain applications, well, it's very easy to do that in the admin panel. I go to my apps, and then in my apps, I choose the apps that maybe I want to lock down for them. So I'll go to my app overview here, my Workspace apps. And let's say, for example, this person needs to access Gmail and needs to access Calendar so they can email customers on our behalf or access a calendar to see the kind of work that they need to get access to. But I don't want them using Google Voice, and they don't need to jump on or create any meetings with our team. Well, if I wanted to, I could first select Test Contractors, which is my contractors organizational unit here, choose the services that I want to disable or restrict, and you can see I can click them to off, and it says it's going to switch off those services for users in that organizational unit. Now it says it'll take up to 24 hours for it to switch off, but it does happen pretty quickly. So there you go. There's some things that you can do. You may even choose for contractors to give them something rather than take something away from them. One of the features I love the most is the ability to have Google Chrome remember specific bookmarks inside Google Chrome as a policy. So if you go to devices and then Chrome, you can actually set up your device settings. And where is that one? Is it in devices? No, it's not. Maybe it's overview. Is it manage browsers? No. They always change this on me. Custom settings. Okay, here we go. Settings. Okay. Please be right. Okay, got it. Enhanced settings search. Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you, Google AI. Okay. So if you want to change the settings for your Chrome browsers for any of your users, including a specific organizational unit, you go to Chrome browser and then to settings. And then you want to select the organizational unit that you're working with. So in this case, I'm going to go to my Contractors organizational unit. And the feature that I wanted to show off to you is bookmarks, and specifically managed bookmarks. So in the managed bookmarks menu, and you'll see here it applies to people signed in on a Chrome OS device using the Chrome browser on a Mac or a PC. If they've got an Android device, it works. And if they have Chrome on phone or iPad, iPhone or iPad, that also works too. Inside Manage Bookmarks, it allows you to set a set of bookmarks that everybody can see when they open up their browser. And I really love this feature. Of course, you can do things like set the home page and disable or enable the password manager if you want to lock down the security. But this one, to me, is the most useful because it's something that people can use every day. You'll see here we have a standard set of links that everyone in the company can access, and that is applied at the top level of IT Genius. But let's say, for example, I want to create a new list. Can I create a new list, or is it only going to let me have one? Oh, hold on. Inherit. Locally applied. Okay, wonderful. Cool. So you'll first need to change from inherited. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, that's weird. Okay, it took me back. I don't know why that did that. Okay, so you first want to change it from inherited to locally applied. Oh, and then I need to go back to, wait a minute. Oh, okay, hold on, I clicked the wrong. How do I change? All right, I'm missing a button. I'm missing an override button. Unless, can I delete that? Okay, it appears that this is strange because in every other settings window, you click override and then you can just do whatever you want here. But anyway, it appears to be, and just be very careful that you go into the right organizational unit before you start messing with stuff. We go into our links and we should be able to, here we go, click the plus button and add bookmarks, folders. Here we go, add a folder. All right, contractor links. And then we can add as many links as we like, and they will be applied just to this organizational unit that we have selected here. And what that's going to look like is when someone opens a new tab, you'll see here my links menu appears here. If they're part of the contractors group, they'll get a special contractors set of links. So super, super useful. If you've got a bunch of contractors who are working for your business and maybe they're seasonal workers, maybe they come and go, maybe you want them to be rapidly onboarded with as little human intervention as possible, all of these little things just make your life easier. And remember, just adding them to the contractors group and moving their user into the contractors organizational unit is going to apply all of these settings automatically, pretty much instantly, within a couple of minutes of doing that. Love that one. Now for contractors, of course, you want to take special care that when they're offboarded from the business, that you capture all their data. If you've issued a user account to them, then that's a pretty easy process. You would offboard them like any other employee. You transfer their documents, you migrate their emails, you make sure that everything is collected when you're offboarding and deleting their account. If you want help with that, or you want to take up our service to do that for you, check the link down below. We've got options on our website under the quick fix menu. Very affordable service for us to do the offboarding for you. Or if they're outside the business using a Gmail account, it doesn't hurt to just ask them to double check if they've made any documents or created anything that still exists in their MyDrive that might be a part of your business that they haven't yet moved into the shared drive that you own and control. Usually the easiest thing for them to do is to go to their drive, search for your company name or anything related to your company, and then you can ask them to move that into the shared drive. you can also run a search on your side inside of your Google Drive by opening your drive and searching for documents owned by their Gmail address. And if there's documents that are owned by their Gmail address, that means those documents have not been transferred into the shared drive. That's an important tip when you're doing your offboarding, and hopefully you have good success with contractors in Google Workspace. Great question. Love that question. Thanks, guys. Hopefully that was useful. That was a really, really good one to go through. I haven't done one of those in a while. All right, my poor team. I've got all this set up done in our production account. They're gonna kill me. See, I forget that I do this. I do a stream for hours, and then next week I'll be in the admin account like, oh, what's all this test shit doing in here? Anyway, but we have fun. We have fun. Okay, so let me see if I've got another question. What do we got here? What do we got here? Where's my questions? Okay. Okay, good question here. How long have we been going for, by the way? Oh, geez, 90 minutes. We are having fun. I promised my partner I'd go for a walk. All right, I'm going to take a short intermission, and I'll be back in just a few moments, guys. All right, lucky me, I just got a package. Thank you, eBay, new computer, which I'm very excited about. All right, so let's go do a couple more questions, and then I'm probably going to run out of energy, but thanks so much if you've stuck around so far. Wonderful to have you on the stream. And yeah, please let me know if you've got any questions or or even anything you want to see on the channel. I'm in a new studio. I am in a new place, and I'm ready to rock and roll and create lots of content here. So I'm excited to do that. That is we got a watch nerd. Yeah, this is the Moonphase Speedy. It's the rose gold. This is a very special watch. I say it very casually, but yeah, that's the Moonphase Speedy. If you head to my Instagram, I don't know how old the photos are, but there are a couple of close-up photos. I fucking love this watch. I bought it when I gave up the CEO role, and my business owner took it over, and it was kind of like a retirement type special watch. But thank you for noticing. Only watch nerds notice the notice the Speedies. Okay, cool. So what key challenges arise when switching a primary domain in Google Workspace, and how can disruptions be minimized? This is a tough question because this is something I leave to my team, but I'll give you a brief rundown on this. So if you want to change primary domain names in Google Workspace, the process is pretty simple. The implications are a little bit funny, and I'll try and take you through most of them now. The short version of this is, for a couple of $100, my team will help coordinate this for you. Head to our website, go to the quick fix menu, and choose change domain. And let me tell you, it's easier to have someone who's done it 10 times and knows how to solve the quirky things that can happen sometime, rather than doing it yourself. Because let's face it, things go wrong sometimes and you don't know what's going to happen. But if you've got a support team there who have done this a million times, it's usually best they get their help to do it. But that disclaimer said, let me show you the actual process and I'll help you out with how to do it. So you manage your domain names inside the Google admin panel. You go to admin.google.com And that's where you can set all of your different domain names. And bugger it, let's go to the test account so I can hopefully even show this happening. Oh my God, come on. Come on, come on, come on. All right. So inside our admin panel, we go to, where is it? Account. Okay, account, and then domains, and then manage domains. And you can see here there's a number of different domains that we've had added to our test account here. And when you're switching from a primary to a new domain, you'll want to ideally add them as an add-on domain or a secondary domain. Now, you can see here that you've actually got a few different options here. When I click change primary domain, it gives me a warning. It's going to let me continue. And I can actually search and use pretty much any one of my domains. But my recommendation is, in most cases, you actually want to use an add-on domain or a secondary domain, they're now called, rather than an alias domain. See, you can do this with an alias domain, but an alias domain will move everybody in one hit. And particularly if you're a larger business, like if you've got more than 10 people in the business, you might not necessarily want to move every single person over immediately. You might want to do a small pilot test group. You might want to check one user or a couple of users first and kind of see what happens. And then if something goes wrong, you might want to revert just a couple of users rather than having 10 or 20 or 100 staff, depending on how big your business is. You might not want to do that with absolutely everyone in one hit. So my recommendation is to use a secondary domain. Now, if you've got your current domain set up as an alias domain and you want to migrate it to a secondary domain, all you can do is delete it and re-add it. But you've got to do that quickly because emails will stop the moment you delete it and re-add it. Now, when you delete it from this menu, you should be able to instantly re-add it back from an alias to a secondary domain. That should be fine. Be ready with your DNS just in case it doesn't work. You might have to re-verify it, but in most cases it stays verified and you can just immediately re-add the domain. So that's first step. Ideally, you want to have secondary domain to switch to rather than having it configured as an alias domain. Remember that if you change an alias domain to a secondary domain, you're going to have to go and re-add everyone's email addresses manually so it works. So be mindful that if you're doing this phased approach and you convert an alias domain to a secondary domain, you want to make sure that everyone's secondary emails still get added. So all their extra aliases and stuff like that, you've got to go and add. You've got to go into each user and do that manually. Bit of a pain, but if you want to be very, very careful with this, that's the most careful way of doing it. Okay. So the next step, if you're doing a phased approach and you're moving people one by one, is to individually move their accounts from one domain to another. And that's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to go into my directory, and inside directory, I'll go to the user menu, find my own user as an example here. All right. And once I'm in the user menu, I want to update user, and then I can choose to change the primary domain of this user. Now let's say I want to change from testgenius.co to hotgenius.com. We used to have a company called HostGenius, so I guess HotGenius is a test domain of that. Okay, so two important things happen. Pretty much immediately, my primary email address is going to change here, meaning that I have to log in with that new email address anytime I'm logging in. Now, sometimes your devices will be fine, your browser history will be fine, and it's no issue at all, right? So if let's say I go to gmail.com, let's see if it signs me in or it asks me. No, it's fine, okay? And it's already changed my email address to hotgenius.com.au. Nothing's gone wrong, right? But every now and again, you will get kicked out of this account and you'll need to re-authenticate. If you've used that account to connect to a printer, to connect to your phone, Apple email, maybe your Gmail app, and your calendar app on your phone might need to be re-authenticated. If you've used it to sign into Android, you may need to redo your backups or your settings, or re-authenticate on the phone sign-in, right? There's lots of things where this can kind of go a bit wonky, because many systems, even though they use single sign-on, which is an authenticated sign-on with this account, they may not be prepared for the actual underlying account to change. So just be ready for some screwy things to happen, even with your Google logins, let alone your other logins, which I'll come back to. So immediately this account has been changed, which is great. And the second thing that happens immediately is an alias is automatically configured. This is the one time where Google does the alias for you. So people can now use peter@testgenius.co, which was my original domain, as an alternate email address. I'll show you where that appears in a moment, but heed this warning. Peter may not be able to use Google Chat for up to 3 days. That's one of the potential issues. You'll see updates within 10 minutes. Generally, they happen pretty much immediately, depending on how many users you're changing at the same time. Now, if I click onto user information here, it's going to show me a list of all of my aliases, or alternate email addresses it now calls them. And you'll see here it's automatically created the alias for testgenius.co. This was the original email that I had, test@reseller.itgenius.com.au. It's a bit of a mouthful domain name. But both of these are set as aliases. So they will immediately work after I've changed that domain name. And as you set each one of these and you test them one by one, you test the users one by one, you make sure things work, you make sure your users are signing in, or your staff are signing in to their new accounts okay, and everyone's phone's still working, great, awesome. Only then would you go to your domains menu, manage domains, and then you would change into the secondary domain, which changes it for the whole account. Now, that can cause some other problems in itself. If you've got Google Sites connected to your account, anything that uses potentially a URL, that can mess with things. Some of the apps like Chat are a bit screwy for a while. I've seen logos that were saved disappear. Weird stuff can happen. We don't always know what will happen, but weird stuff can happen. So be mindful of that. There's a Google Help Guide somewhere that details all the things that might actually go wrong, or all the things that might actually change. But at this point, you can change that. Now, keep in mind, the final step for this is usually everyone dealing with all of the third-party SaaS apps that they've connected to, that they now may or may not still be able to access. Here's the problem. If you use an app like Asana, and I'm going to open up I'm in a new tab, so that's perfect. Great. So I go to my normal app, I go to my login screen, and on any other day, I would click continue with Google, and I would go ahead and sign in to this account. The only problem now being, it's the same account, but a different email address. And Asana, or any other app that you're expecting to use, is expecting your old email address. So therefore, it's not going to work. Or even worse, it's going to create a second account with your new email address. Here's the problem. If you click the wrong button just by mistake, because you haven't done this process and you don't know for sure that you've got the new email account linked in to your SaaS app that you're trying to access, you end up with two accounts. And then when you realize, oh shit, no, actually, I've got to take the old account and rename it to the new email address. That's the correct way of doing things. You can't do it, because now you've got a second account which is empty using the new email address. So if you bugger it up and you sign in with this new email account, you've then got to sign back into this account. You've got to change the email address on this account to something random and different. Then you've got to go back to the login screen of your app. And so that means going back to Asana. And on the Asana home screen, you say your email address, right? And in this case, I'm going to use my IT Genius one because it's actually got a valid account there. And you need to do a password reset, which will generate a password for you so you can log into this old email address with your email. Remember, it's an alias, so it will still work. I'm getting very technical here. And then the new email address that you've changed to, you're going to take the old account and you're going to change the login email to the new email. And then the final step is we're going to go back to this screen. And finally, then you can use the Google login with your brand new email address. Now, not only do you have to do that for every one of your accounts, your staff have to do that for every one of their accounts. And you've got to make sure that they don't go and sign in with their new account, with a Google sign-in, create a duplicate account in apps like Asana or Airbnb or Canva or Fathom Note Taker. You might start racking up bills for all the new users that are created that are double ups of the old users that were there. In some of these accounts, they will even lock you down by domain. So we have an Asana Enterprise account and we say, hey, we only want domains from IT Genius, right? So if someone goes and signs up with their new account, it creates a whole new organization. And we end up with this rogue organization in our SaaS app because someone's used a new domain for that app. So you can see why we say, hey, just let us help you do this. Because this can turn into an absolute shit show. We don't want that to happen, but that's the full process. We go through and we rename the users. We educate our staff on how to sign into their SaaS apps by doing a password reset, getting a password generated for the account, renaming the account to their new email address, and then only after they've been assigned their new Google address do they then log into the SaaS app using the Google one-click sign-in. There you go. It's a big process, but if you want some help with that, just click the link below and reach out. Our team will help. Okay. Good question. Everyone gets really angry in the comments when I post a video that says, hey, you know what, it's just easier to call out. It's just easier to call out team. Because that's the stuff that, of course, we think about. All right. Can I use let's do an easy one. Can I use Microsoft Office in a Chromebook? Yes, kind of. If you want to use, I've covered this so many times in my other videos. If you want to use Microsoft in a Chromebook, you've got a few options. So my editor, Clarissa, no, don't make a video out of this. I'm done. I'm so done with these videos. Download the Android app. Use the crappy online apps. Or option 3, you can use, what's it called? Crossover. It's a rewrite of an app called Wine for Linux. So you can use an app called Crossover, and that will let you run Windows apps on a Chromebook. It's a bit janky from time to time, but it can be done. Or use a remote desktop. You log into a remote PC somewhere via remote desktop and use all your Microsoft apps there. That's the other way of doing it. Okay, what do I do if MX Toolbox shows no DMARC or DNS records? You need to set up your DNS records correctly. My recommendation would be you go and watch our technical guide on DNS. My recommendation would be you spend $200 and get our team to do it for you. But if you like pain, go and watch our guide here. It's the 27-minute one on how to correctly set your DNS records, and I've got a full guide there on how to do it. Okay, good questions. I didn't even get through half of these. What security and compliance risks come with email forwarding, and how can businesses mitigate them? The short answer, that is an excellent question. The short answer to this question is try and avoid email forwarding wherever possible. Once an email moves out of your organization's Google Workspace account, you don't know you don't know where it's going, and you can't control it. You can't redact, you can't pull them back. So let's say you're a business and you have important compliance risks. You're dealing with financial information, or you're dealing with personal information or medical information. You want to be on the Google Workspace Enterprise SKU, because you can set up the feature called DLP, or data loss prevention. And you can set a bunch of rules on your account that says things like, if someone puts payment information in a chat in plain text, quarantine that message. If someone puts somebody's Medicare number or social security number in an email and they try and email that email, quarantine that email. those automated rules can kick in and save your business from potentially breaching your financial, fiduciary compliance duties, or if you're in the medical field, a HIPAA is one of the things that people need to comply with for maintaining patient records and those kind of things. DLP just solves a whole lot of that kind of stuff. But once you forward an email outside your business, there's no deal. I don't know. I mean, DLP might run on it before it even goes out, but still, I'd not be forwarding anything out of a business unless it was absolutely needed. And even if it's going to a contractor, it's not hard to pay a little bit extra per month and issue your contractor an email address within your company that you control. That's the best way to make sure that you've got complete control of all of the data in your business. And remember that if something goes wrong and your customer data is breached and you're the one who ends up in the news with your business breaching people's personal records and personal information, you want to be able to say that you genuinely did absolutely everything in your power to resist that, especially when you're having a conversation with your insurer. So forwarding emails to an external email address, I don't ever like the sound of that. So that would be my response to that one. Try not to do it. That's the best way to protect yourself. Okay, cool. Amy is asking, I'm having trouble migrating Gmail accounts in a workspace. Something about IMAP is not working. This is happening with multiple of my clients and I need a solution. Thank you for any insights. Well, that probably sounds, okay, it's very hard to know exactly what you're doing here because there's so many ways to migrate emails. The two main ways that people will do it is they will either use the built-in migration tool in the admin panel, in the workspace admin panel. The second option is third-party tools. There's a bunch of different tools. I don't know what my team are using these days, but there's a bunch of different tools that you can use to migrate mailboxes. If you're getting an error around IMAP, it's potentially the sending server's settings. So is IMAP enabled in Gmail? That's really simple to do. You go to your Gmail settings and you enable IMAP access. So in my settings, I go to all settings and then forwarding and IMAP. You want to make sure that POP and IMAP is enabled. Next up, if you're using a non-Gmail account and you're trying to migrate that into Workspace, it might be that it's coming from a crappy web server and it's slow or buggy or it's dropping packets. Those kind of things happen all the time. One little tip if you're migrating mailboxes is that it is slow. The Google API only migrates 1 email per second, or maybe it's 10 emails per second, I don't know, but it's not very much and it takes a long time. What that means is that it can take days or even weeks for migrations to happen sometimes. So you do need to be patient as those are running. Whether it's coming from a Gmail account or a Workspace account, the ingest rate into Workspace can be pretty slow as well. So yeah, be mindful of that. Okie dokie. I'm frustrated that our Workspace users can and do delete chat messages. Is there a setting to prevent staff from deleting chat messages? That is an interesting question. I know you can force history to be saved, and you can certainly retain messages using Google Vault. But can you prevent staff from deleting chat messages? Let's have a look. So the best place to look for any possible. Let me try those words again. I'm going to have to wrap up now. I'm starting to run out of words. The best place to look for any possible settings in your Workspace account is, of course, in the admin panel. And the easiest place to find the right setting is to search. So I'm going to go and look for our chat settings just by searching for chat. And that's at least going to get me to the right section here. I'm going to click up one on the breadcrumbs. This is called a breadcrumb menu, like, was it Little Red Riding Hood? Which one left the breadcrumb trail? I don't know. Is that the one, Big Bad Wolf? Someone help me out in the chat. Okay, so we go to our settings, and inside our settings, we've got all the settings for Google Chat. So let's go and have a look. So this is what I was referring to here. History for spaces, that's your group chats. And then history for chats as well. So history is on. Allow users to change their history settings. So that's the one set here at the moment. If you wanted to, you could force history to stay on for everyone. It seems like I've unticked the ability for people to change it. So that means history is stuck on for absolutely everyone in the business. However, that doesn't allow people to, well, it doesn't stop people from deleting messages. So that's a kind of weird one, actually. I'm wondering what the purpose of history is if you can delete messages. Maybe this is a relic from when this used to be Hangouts. Anyway, create history state. History is on by default. Okay, cool. There we go. So there are history settings. Do we have anything else? So when history is on, choose whether messages should be auto deleted, whether after a set period of time. Okay, so if you want to, you can enable auto deletion of messages. Well, that is very cool if you're concerned with privacy or you're looking to, I don't know, embezzle funds or something like that. You can choose to have messages deleted after a period of time. Keep in mind though, if you are really doing anything like nefarious, don't put it on. This is unencrypted chat. Somebody can subpoena Google easily and get access to all of this stuff, especially if it's in Google Vault, you're handing it over. If someone wants to surveil you or your company, do not put anything in Google Chat. Expect that this can be read by anyone and everyone and act accordingly. But anyway, you can choose to delete stuff. I don't know why you might feel more comfortable with that. Here we go. So file sharing invitations, external, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it does not appear that we can restrict deleting messages here, but what we can do is we can configure Google Vault. So Google Vault, which is at vault.google.com, and you do have to pay for this. You need an extra license, and that means upgrading to the Business Plus plan or above, recommended if this service is of interest to you, for financial services, legal, consulting, allied, medical, health type practices. I say this is pretty much mandatory because this saves your bacon if you ever get sued by someone or you need to, substantiate advice given by your staff or your doctor or whoever else. Anyway, inside Google Vault, I can choose what kind of data I want to retain in my business. Myself being a pack rat and having lots of space inside of Google, we keep everything indefinitely. And that is my recommendation if you are any kind of business that may need to rely on data in the future. How Google Vault works is it takes data that comes into your business, whether it's a file, whether it's a email that's come into a mailbox, whether it's a chat message, and it saves a copy of every single one of those messages in the vault. Imagine message comes in, carbon copy gets taken, Google puts it in the vault. And that means that even if somebody deletes an email, a chat message, or anything else in the Google world, always going to be a copy in Vault. Now, this is a great feature, not just for snooping, because of course, hashtag I'm not a lawyer, but you should probably check your employment contracts if you have the right to surveil your staff, just putting that out there. But what this is really great for is, if you do ever get sued and you need to, comply with a data request or a subpoena or anything like that, if you accidentally lose something or make a change or an edit, it's not really a backup solution. It's not going to keep a million different versions of the files, but it will keep a copy of effectively each asset that lives in your Google Drive and lives in your mail and your chat. And this saved our bacon one time because my business partner Scott sent me a long message that he had typed out full of inspiration, and he sent it off to me, but then he made a mistake. He was trying to click the edit button on the message and he accidentally clicked delete and the message disappeared and it was gone. And he was really worried about it because he just spent half an hour typing up this message with all of his inspiration to me. And what I was able to do was to go into Google Vault, and it actually captured his original message, and then it captured immediately after when he deleted the message, and I was able to cut and paste the original message back to him, and the day was saved. So Google Vault is a great tool, great feature. Even if someone deletes a message after it's been posted, you're still going to have a copy in Vault, which is really nice. If you've got a staff member that you suspect is doing the dodgy, if you've got a legal issue, if you've got a customer who says, someone sent me an email from 9 months ago about blah blah project and now I want to sue you, right? you've got the ability to make one search here and it will bring up data from every mailbox right across your inbox. Now, let me try and do a search that's not going to expose too much and show you how this actually works, because it's very cool. So we have retention, we have matters, and then we have reports. So matters are where we define a set of characteristics where we want to run a search. It's called a matter because this is, kind of typically used in legal situations, right? So a matter would be a matter of hold. You then have the reports menu, which I don't know exactly what this is for. There aren't any domain holds. Okay, I assume this is if you're not retaining everything, choosing to retain just certain things. Anyway, we retain everything. That's the easiest thing to do. Okay, so if, for example, I say, hey, let's go and have a look at this Canva search. I assume this is going to help me search for all emails that have come from Canva, or maybe I could look for all mentions about Canva in chat. But for now, it's probably safer I go to email, and let's search all data right across the company for all accounts, and I'll leave the date open, and I'll say canva.com. That's the easiest thing for me to do, and search. Now, I'll do that without my screen showing, just in case anything weird comes up. But that's running a search, and it took like 2 seconds, right? 2 seconds. Here we go. I'm just going to go down to page 2 because it did leave my login code in the subject. I'm going to avoid that one. Let's just wait for this. Okay, wonderful, cool. So we can see here Peter received an email which looks like a marketing email. Gypsy received an email. She got shared a document. Lauren received an email. Someone was requesting their approval on a document. There we go. So we've got lots of different options for emails right across people's mailboxes. Very, very cool. I love Canva. I love Vault because you can tell I got to finish this screen. I love Vault because it basically gives us like a get out of jail free card in a way if we need to quickly get access to something right across the Google ecosystem. And me being a pack rat, I like to have a copy of everything. We're in the situation where in IT, someone might say, hey, 18 months ago, you changed one setting in my Google admin panel, and now it's caused us to lose business and we want to sue you. And we've actually had things like that happen. So for us to be able to go back and say, this is the email, this is what was advised, this is exactly who sent it, this is what was sent or not sent, this is what was said on chat about it. If our staff member has left the company and we've got to work out and piece together things from 18 months ago, this is a very handy tool for that. So if you haven't yet considered Google Vault, go ahead and check this one out. All right, I'm going to wrap there. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks for being on the live. Stick around for the next one. Drop your questions into ask.itgenius.com. And if you're interested in a live consultation with me, head along, drop me a message on LinkedIn. Go to moriarty.co. It's my personal website. Find my LinkedIn on there. Drop me a message. Let me know you're interested in a consultation. We've done a couple of these live on the channel so far, and I want to do more. So if you want to jump on with me, we'll spend about an hour on a live stream. I'll help you out, whether it's building something or working something out or doing something technical. If you're interested in that, you can apply. And if I think it's going to be great content for the channel, then I will, we'll jump on a meet together and we'll sort out whatever you want to sort out. Okay, until next time, adios. See you later, guys, and enjoy your day or evening or morning, wherever you are. Cheers.